Hello, I'm Nick with the Dino Doctors, and I'm just here to tell you about what we do and why it's important. So, the reason why we're so important is because when people go to look at restaurants and where to eat, the first thing they see are reviews, and that's the first thing they look for. And if their first review is a bad one, then they're likely to pick a different restaurant or a different chain because they don't want to have a bad experience. So what we do is try to eliminate all the things that we can that that make someone write a bad review. The reason I started Diner Doctors was because I noticed that there were a lot of really nice restaurants that were doing a lot of things well, but there were just a couple of things that needed to be worked on, and I wanted to help out with that. So we're one of the highest rated restaurant consulting firms in Georgia, and we've helped a lot of restaurants get started, like restaurants that are from Mark Wahlberg and Gordon Ramsay and other really big celebrities that we've helped start their restaurants. The reason I started Diner Doctors was because I noticed that there were a lot of really nice restaurants that were doing a lot of things well, but there were just a couple of things that needed to be worked on, and I wanted to help out with that. So we're one of the highest rated restaurant consulting firms in Georgia, and we've helped a lot of restaurants get started, like restaurants that are from Mark Wahlberg and Gordon Ramsay and other really big celebrities that we've helped start their restaurants. People are very quick to leave negative reviews, and often they don't provide suggestions on how to fix it because they don't know. They just know that they had a bad experience, or they don't really even know what goes on in the background. So luckily we do, and we're able to help with diagnosing the problems and then treating them. So if someone says our food took way too long to come out, they don't know if that's because the kitchen was understaffed, or people went on breaks for too long, or because their host or hostess didn't remember to bring the food out. They don't know. So our job is to come and look and see exactly what problems that need to be addressed, and then we address them. One of the things that the Cheesecake Factory is really known for is the size of the menu and the variety of things on it. And because there's so many different locations all over the country, that they can really bring in tons of different types of food because of the supply chain that they have. So that's really, really great. And it creates a really nice atmosphere for people because you can bring a group of people who, some people might want salad, some people might want seafood, and some people might want pizza, and they're all happy because they all have tons of different options even within the things that they want. One competitor to the Cheesecake Factory is Maggiano's, because they have a lot of Italian foods like the Cheesecake Factory, and because they're also found in malls a lot of the time. And same thing with California Pizza Kitchen. They have a lot of pizza and desserts like the Cheesecake Factory, and especially if the Cheesecake Factory is too busy, or they're unhappy with the service that they got there. Those are very close by a lot of the time. Another thing that I've seen to work on are a lot of complaints on how the meat is cooked. Um, that's just a lot of that comes from either storage or overcooking the meat, and that's a really easy thing to do, but it's also a really easy thing to learn not to do. Um, and really making sure that you communicate with the customer on how well or rare they want their food done, and then making sure that that's communicated to the cooking staff and they're accurately doing what the customer wants. One of the other complaints that I've seen is long wait times, especially when there are tables open. And I know that that's because of staffing problems, but not all the customers know that. So one thing that we can really work on is making sure that all the servers that are staffed during the busy times are properly trained to take on a lot of people, and then hiring too good people that can handle multitasking and large quantities of tables. Another thing to work on that I've seen is quality differing between different food items and different restaurants within the Cheesecake Factory chain. And one thing that you can really do for that is making sure that you're cooking all the food at the right time so that way it all is done and then goes out at the same time. Because if you have something that's cooked for 5 minutes and then you have something that's cooked for 30 minutes and you start them both at the same time, the thing that's cooked for 5 minutes is going to be sitting out for 25 minutes waiting, and you don't want that. And that's either going to get cold or dry or both. One of the strengths I've seen is the size and the variety on the menu, that everyone in the group is able to get something that they like because the menu is so large and there's a lot of stuff on it. And people have praised everything on the menu, and that there's not one group of food that isn't good or not as good as another group of food. So that's really good. Another strength I've seen is people praising the desserts, mainly the cheesecakes, which is good because it's the Cheesecake Factory and you want people talking about how good the cheesecakes are. And that there's a bunch of different flavors and kinds of cheesecakes and other desserts, and that when they get the cheesecake, there's extra stuff on it, like whether that be whipped cream or a piece of chocolate or whatever, that it's not just a slice of frozen cheesecake that's done on a plate, that there's care put into how it's served. Another strength I saw was the portion size of all the food on the menu, that they don't feel like anything's overpriced for the size of the food that they're getting, especially with the entrees and a lot of the appetizers, that you're not paying for not a lot of food. So that's really good and something that you want to make sure that you're keeping up. A really good opportunity is to put up stations around the mall that whatever Cheesecake Factory is attached to, in order to let people check in or at least view how long their wait is, or have an option on the phone when you're getting updates to check in and see how long your wait is going to be. Because oftentimes the wait time is not what it is originally, and a lot of people are around the mall and end up having to rush back because their table is ready earlier than they expected, or are waiting around in the mall for their table to be done long after their original wait is over. A couple more recommendations are more sauces and more vegetarian options. There are some reviews complaining about the fact that either they didn't have enough sauce on their meal, or they wish they could have gotten a different sauce or combined the sauces or stuff like that. And then also on the Skinnylicious menu, adding more vegetarian or vegan options is a popular request in the reviews. One of the threats I've seen is long wait times. That came up a lot, and a lot of people had said that they had initially wanted to go to the Cheesecake Factory, that they were craving it, they were looking forward to going, but they got there and the wait times were over an hour or 2 hours, and they just didn't want to or couldn't wait that long to get food. So then they went to a different restaurant around in the area, and obviously you don't want that to happen. So hiring more people and the people who are passionate and excited to work, and who are able to take on more tables would be a very good thing to do. Another threat I've seen, or a couple, are cleanliness around the dining area and food varying in temperatures around the table. And that's caused by food that doesn't take very long to cook, starting right away, along with food that does take a long time to cook. So the food that doesn't take a long to cook is left out while the other food is cooking. And both of these problems, the cleanliness and the food sitting out, could really come back to hurt you in the health rating score, and you don't want that. So making sure that you're cooking food at the appropriate times, and that you're properly bussing tables after parties have left is really important. Thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation. We have for you a commemorative t-shirt with our company logo on it. And I also wanted to conclude by reiterating the fact that customer reviews are so important, and not only making sure that you're getting as many positive reviews and providing as many positive experiences as possible, but you're also managing the negative reviews and making it public that you want to make right with the people who had those negative experiences, and you want to minimize those negative experiences and interactions as much as possible.